SafetyWing is the world's first international travel medical insurance developed to meet the needs of entrepreneurs and remote workers traveling or living abroad worldwide. The SafetyWing Nomad Insurance includes both travel and travel medical insurance, which includes coverage for any travel delays, lost checked bags, emergency response, and natural disasters, plus coverage and access to qualified global network of hospitals and doctors for unexpected medical problems and accidents, and any emergency medical evacuations. You can sign up for Nomad Insurance even if your trip is already happening, or sign up in advance by selecting a future start date. For only $42 per 4 weeks, you can be covered under SafetyWing and its Nomad Insurance. Click the link in our description for more info and to sign up. Safe travels! All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Trizzy.
And I'm Leah, LA in Flight. How y'all doing?
We doing good. We doing great. We just had Sondre. Oh, bars. Sondre from SafetyWing, CEO, co-founder of SafetyWing, which is a travel health insurance for remote workers and digital nomads.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about SafetyWing is that they're evolving into many more products and much more protection for a world that's pretty much going to be hopefully all virtual in the future and kind of have borderless countries, right? So Sondre talks a lot about why you need health insurance, how they got this start. They saw a need in the market for it, right? How the pandemic completely changed and grew their company. Because travel insurance is something that a lot of you come to us constantly about. And it's so funny because I'll still tell people, get it no matter what, and people still won't get it. So hopefully having Sondre on here, one of the co-founders of SafetyWing, has convinced you, because we had a little special segment in the beginning where he convinced Trizzy. And this was such a fun, lighthearted conversation because even as Sondre said, travel insurance, the industry gets a bad rep and it's not a pretty thing. It's not a fun thing to think about. It's not a fun product.
Yeah.
So yes, please enjoy this episode with Sondre Rasch, CEO of SafetyWing, co-founder of SafetyWing. It was so lovely having him on. But before we get into that, coffee and tea, synonymous with our travels because we're Trizzy and Leah. So Trizzy, what you drinking for your tea today?
So the tea I got is very basic. I'm just drinking a Bigelow. It's like the mint green tea.
Ooh, so good though. Tried and true.
Harry Potter cup, which I have not seen an episode. I just have this cup. So
it's Hedwig though.
Hedwig.
For those that are not watching us on YouTube, which is most of you, it's stop it. A Hedwig cup. I can't.
Yeah, my sister was throwing it out, and instead of throwing it out, it landed here.
Throwing it, excuse me, hello, ship that over to me. Do not throw that out.
No, this is actually Maui's mug. She wants it.
So cute. All right, so for my coffee today, you cannot see it. But it is my, when I wake up early in the mornings and I do podcasts early in the mornings, I usually don't have time to drive somewhere and get coffee. Plus, I love making coffee at home. Mm-hmm. Saves money, saves time. So I have my classic Ali'i coffee from Hawaii. That's what that's the espresso shot I brewed in my mocha pot. And then, you know what it is? My oatmeal cookie flavored oat milk. Shout out to Silk.
Oat milk creamer.
Oh, it's so good. Like the oatier, the better. Life motto.
Life motto. Cheers to that. Cheers to another great episode about travel insurance with Safety.
Cheers.
Hey there, it's Trizzy and Leah, your hosts for the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. We created this travel podcast for you, who's just as obsessed with exploring the globe as we are. We each travel a different way and even have different work schedules. But every episode, we aim to widen your worldview, inspire you to consider a destination near or far, or learn from others. With us, you can adventure from anywhere.
Keep in touch with us on social media at Ticket2 Anywhere Podcast. Remember to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Never miss an episode by subscribing to Ticket Number 2 Anywhere podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pocket Casts, and hit subscribe to follow our visual podcasts on YouTube to keep up to date on our channel.
If you find value and enjoy our episodes and special guests, please rate us and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to us and helps others find us easier. You can also leave comments or reviews on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Be sure to search for Ticket Number 2 Anywhere podcast.
Take a screenshot of the episode you're currently listening to, share it on your socials, and tag us. Or send this episode to a friend if you think it'll be helpful for them. And if you'd like to support us by monetary means, you can do so by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Ticket Number 2 Anywhere. Wonderful. So today on Ticket to Anywhere podcast, we have Sondre Rasch, CEO and co-founder of SafetyWing, which was born in 2018 out of Y Combinator. So SafetyWing aims to build a social safety net for nomads and eventually for all. They're on a multi-year plan to grow into different digital products and a mission to shape the first country on the internet. Ooh. I know Trizzy has a great first question for you.
I do. Coffee or tea? What is your choice of beverage?
Oh, so that's definitely coffee.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I feel like I've been losing here for a while.
Yeah.
I'm team coffee all the way.
Okay, good. I know whose side I'm on then.
So I'm going to hit you with a hard question first, Sondre.
Okay.
Trizzy here does not buy travel insurance for any of her trips. I buy travel insurance for every single one of my trips. So what one or two sentences would you say to convince Trizzy that she needs it moving forward?
I heard the best story of why to do that just last week, and I have to tell it. I was talking to someone who's in your shoes, and they had an experience where they were in Thailand, something happened, they bought travel insurance. She went to a friend who said exactly the same thing like Trizzy. I don't need it, it's fine. And she said to her on the plane, no, you have to get it, something might happen, sit down and do it right now. And it turns out she didn't. And just heard a couple of days later, she was in a scooter accident.
Ooh.
And she was brought to the hospital. The hospital in Thailand said they wouldn't operate before they had payment. And her parents had to take out a mortgage. She almost died. Her parents had to take out an extra mortgage, transfer the money to the hospital before they would start the treatment. And she was recommended to buy SafetyWing just 2-3 days before that by her best friend, and she didn't. So Trizzy, don't be like this person.
Yeah.
It's just $42 a month. Seriously, what the hell?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. My mindset has shifted when I was recently in Finland back in November, and I was on a snowmobile. And what I did prior to it, I bought insurance, but I guess it only covered flights, like the travel side, rather than the medical. So on the snowmobile, I had a small accident where I somewhat flew off, and part of the snowmobile landed on my calf. Luckily, nothing serious happened. The boots they provided me was very hard and solid that it eased the blow a little bit. But if I didn't have the snow boots, it could have been nasty. So from there, I was like, damn, I really need to make sure that the insurance that I get covers not just for, travel purposes, but also for travel medical as well. So
Yeah.
Don't worry, I am all about it now.
We talked about this on our Finland episode, and I was not to be morbid, but the whole time I was like, this could have gone really wrong.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine a snowmobile landing on me.
Is it mostly plastic, or how much does it weigh? A snowmobile? It looks enormous.
It was, it was one of the heavier ones. It was heavy duty. It was nice. But it was kind of the backing where people in the back, they hold on to the rail. So the railing landed on me. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
go, guys.
Sondre, for that story. Yeah, I think we just convinced Trizzy.
Yeah. And I do want to add, if there's anybody out there like me who works a full-time 9-to-5 job with quote unquote amazing benefits, it doesn't really cover because it will cover like your home country, basically. I think with SafetyWing, they do a better reaching out to foreign countries. So if you're ever traveling, I think it is a good idea. So get out the mindset about being covered under your employee insurance, and just, just add it on, add the SafetyWing travel on.
Yeah.
Recently, Sondre, we've had so many questions about travel insurance. So this is literally perfect timing that you're with us today. And I know I gave a little bit of an overview of who you are, but we'd love the audience to hear it from yourself and what the bigger purpose is of the company.
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Bergen, Norway, on the west coast of Norway. Same with the other two founders of the company, Sarah and Hans. In the past, I worked actually for the government of Norway as a policy advisor on the social safety net in Norway, which its reputation says is quite good. And it is. It's actually very good, simple to use, works really well. And while I was a nomad, discovered you don't bring that abroad with you, similar to, the private insurances you mentioned, TrizzInc. And I also started a freelancer platform, Superside, my previous company. And we had this idea of providing benefits like health insurance and income protection to the freelancers on the platform. Nobody offered it. And that was when I discovered this problem, which is that the internet has made the world into a global labor market where people work just like we do now. They communicate, collaborate across borders. And the infrastructure that supports that, like the social safety net, isn't made for that. And so it doesn't work. Like it clearly doesn't work if you go abroad, but it also really doesn't work for remote teams, which is another use case. SafetyWing is, we have 140 employees across 70 different countries. And clearly, the company has to be registered somewhere. And, when we hire someone in another country, it's not like, social safety net in the host country covers that person. So it's like, it also doesn't work in this way. And so somebody had to build a global social safety net, was what we saw. And our vision was, could we build what we have in Norway, but available for everyone, like globally, digitally on the internet? And that's what we set out to do. And the first product was nomad insurance, and then it was remote health. And we're working on remote retirement for later this year, disability or ability, as we will call it, and sort of the rest of the social safety net until we make a membership at the end. And then it's a true alternative that is just as good as what we used to have in Norway.
We would love that in the US, especially us in the US. Yeah. I think we're pretty notorious for our benefits or lack thereof. So, oh my goodness. I love this story. And I've probably listened to several different podcasts of you retelling this story just because I think it's so great. And the fact that you got into Y Combinator and where you were and how what really accelerated everything was the pandemic and how you guys were gathering a weekend before and the next weekend the world shut down and you really had to like fast forward your roadmap and your product. So I'm curious, after Y Combinator, and I'm sure they help you with this, but like how long did it take to get your first customer, your first sale? Like, how did you even get the word out in the beginning? How did you convince people that this is what they need?
Yes. The first sale, I do remember that. That was February 21, 2018, at the end of Y Combinator. And we had worked so hard to get this live. It was so intense. And we put it out there. The website sort of barely worked, but this was actually also my birthday. And I was on the first date with my now wife, who also has a birthday on that day. Can you imagine? It was a really special day. It was Sarah. Sarah was able to get through the first buy. I mean, and this is actually part of the story, which is we really needed our product to be done so we could buy it because we were digital nomads. We didn't have anything.
Yep.
So we were very eager first customers.
All right.
Because we genuinely needed it. And then the next customers were like, just like friends and family that we just coerced into buying it. and and that's in the coming sort of days. And we wanted feedback mostly. But one thing that also did happen almost from it was actually, I think, day one, after day one when we put it out on Hacker News, is that the next day someone bought, and we're like, who is this person? And we were like Googling and like, do you know this person? And nobody knew this person. And we're like, why are they buying our products?
Okay. I love how you said why. That's your first.
Yeah, I love how you Googled the person too.
Yeah, so strange. And next day it was like another one. And then I remember the next day after that was actually 2 people that we were like unable to track down and figure out who of us had cajoled into buying the product. So what happened actually, and that actually just continued to this day. It was like 2, and then it was 2, and then when it was 3, and then it was 4, a few weeks later, and then it was 5. And this is literally how it has gone to this day until like yesterday it was like 400. Just like gone up like that every day. And that's through word of mouth. So it's like someone discovered it and they told a friend about it, and then that just continued to this day. 2/3 of our growth is word of mouth still.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's literally how I heard of SafetyWing. I was like, world nomads, so expensive. I'll do it, but it's like pulling teeth doing it. And then someone's like, well, have you heard of SafetyWing? I'm like, no. So I go on your beautiful website, so easy to use. And I'm like, why is this so inexpensive? And like, to be honest, Andre, I'm like, it's so inexpensive that even if it doesn't work or cover anything, it's not that big of a financial loss for me. So I'm like, okay, this is wonderful. And the user experience is just unmatched. I was like, this is so great. And it's like a fun site to be on.
Yeah.
So it's the first insurance that I get from now on for every trip.
Good.
One I do. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm a user.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good example. And that's typically, that's a lot of our users, that's how they heard about it. And by the way, that you saying the website, it looks nice. It's very different. And this was actually a hard thing in the beginning. So many people were like saying this particular sentence. They're like, I love the website, but other people are going to hate it. And they're never going to buy insurance from a website that looks like that. You're going to take away all the colors and the birds.
And the bird
has to be light blue and white and maybe gray.
Yep.
If you want to get wild. And hopefully we didn't listen to them. And that totally, that totally wasn't true. Like we took people, that's not the central thing people want. They want it to be easy to buy, they want it to work and easy to use, not gray and light blue. But everyone else's website looked like that. That was why everyone came with this very well-meaning piece of advice, I think.
I think as marketers, Leah and we appreciate the website because the spinoff of having birds on there, SafetyWing, like, hello. I love it. Yeah.
I don't really trust an established brand unless they have like a nice website. And I think in 2022, I think that's fair. It's like, where's the one place we can direct everyone? But especially like insurance is dealing with people's lives and livelihood.
If you can't make a website, how are you gonna like save our lives?
Exactly.
So no, that's true. And I do find that I'm very happy that we are different, partly because the insurance industry has a bit of a bad rep, so it's not like it's a negative to be seen as different, which we are, I think, also internally, partly because we are like our own customers. Almost everyone on the team is our own customers. I think that also really helps when you're able to put yourself in the shoes of when you are also a customer, as well as being an employee. So that's all I think I have from those early days. It was it started growing word of mouth. We started, trying to figure out how to grow this thing. We decided early on to never do ads. So we still haven't done that to this day. So we had to figure out other ways to get customers, and that ended up being, well, word of mouth plus an ambassador program is another one. We do a lot of sponsorship, conferences, communities, and things like that. And we just we're very present in the nomad community. But it turned out that worked really well. So I think it's actually
Yes,
a good way to grow.
absolutely. It worked on me. I'm like, oh, word of mouth SafetyWing. Okay, let me Google them. So, okay, this is interesting because when the pandemic really hit, you guys had your 200-person meeting and the next week you had to shift. Like, how fast did you accelerate? And what really changed in the company? Did you guys just get flipped upside down?
Wow, this was such a crazy time. Until March 3rd, 2020, it's like a bit sunshine and roses. The team is like 10 people or something, and we're all gathered here at this house I am right now, the SafetyWing house. And I remember we do this like launch in the day. We put the website for remote health, the first health insurance, global health insurance for remote teams out. And it's very exciting. In the evening, we go to a co-working space called Parasoma. There were 200 founders there. And we have this slide there, which is like, in 10 years, most companies are going to be remote. And then the next weekend, all companies are remote.
So it was more like 10 days, right?
10 days. It was so close in time. It was so close that we were unable to fly home. Like we had this whole struggle with several people like stranded in Lisbon, not able to get the flight home to Canada, because this was just as the lockouts were rolling out, the border closures were rolling out. And this affected us in two ways. So yeah, on the long run, this accelerated us because it accelerated remote work. But it was also, we had to evacuate a third of our customers. So we covered political evacuation, and the COVID thing qualified. So we had to help, thousands of customers to get home.
Wow.
And we had, the founders were like several all-nighters on customer service, trying to like assist people trying to get out of wherever. And we were able to stay on top of that during that time. But also a third evacuated meant a third of customers who are no longer customers. I mean, so it wasn't all sunshine and roses at that time. And then about 2/3 basically stayed put. So it's like if they were in Bali, they just stayed there. So, which isn't too bad. And then but what also happened was, of course, we had just launched remote health. We actually hadn't put out the individual product, but we rushed that out because at that time, nomad insurance, it covered evacuation, but it actually didn't cover pandemic thing. Like there was a pandemic exclusion in it. And we had to work with, the reinsurer, the regulator, to update the policy. And that took us months. So we, in the interest of just people who were like, I really want something that covers COVID, we rushed out this individual product. And the product grew so fast. It sort of like doubled every month. It was like, we got this like long wait list we weren't able to catch up on. It grew so fast, that remote health product, while the nomad product had sort of tanked in a way. And so we also launched these like amazing products like Borderless. I'm so proud of like the team in those days. It was ridiculous. Like people were not discouraged at all. Like it was just, we had this motto, kind of all problems are solvable. People were very much sort of on deck during this time. Borderless was this thing we were able to assemble in 4 days. We created this new website. It's still up. 4 days from beginning to create, including recruiting like 25 researchers. And the idea was, I don't know if you remember this time, but it was so uncertain. It was like, what's the current rule? And a lot of people got stuck, on various airports, and it was a bit of a disaster. So we made this thing called Borderless, where we would update every day. We would check on the rules of every country in the world. And we put it on the website. And that's still up to this day. That keeps being updated on Borderless. And we made that, and we made remote health. That started growing. So it was kind of like mixed feelings, but it was very intense. And by August, we were finally able to update the nomad insurance product, so it actually covered COVID. At the time, it was actually the only one. So then that ended up growing really fast as well. It grew like 40% just that month. So that's how we got through that time. And it ended up being, a great success. And, just from that time, we were at like 2 million in sales. I think now we're at like and then 18 months later, we're at 20. So it's like
Wow.
super fast growth since then. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, especially during the time when the pandemic hit, a lot of companies, even Leah and I, we had started this podcast, we had to pivot. But for you guys really stayed relevant prior to the pandemic and throughout. If anything, you guys are the company to be with during the pandemic. But let's jump into the future, and we want to ask you, what do you see in the future as far as like remote work and digital nomading and everything like that? Because you did mention one of your missions is to build the first country on the internet.
Yes.
So let's hear that.
Yes. So I'm so excited about this part of the near-term future. So the internet has already made us into this global hive mind civilization kind of thing, and we're kind of working out the kinks of that. But remote work allows people to move anywhere. And this has all kinds of effects downstream. And that's what we'll see like in the future. And a couple of biggies that I'm very curious about. One is, our mission. We think that there's a lot of institutions, infrastructure, systems that needs to be rebuilt in a global digital way, that there will arise these countries on the internet that will be built around values instead of borders, and where citizenship will be based on choice instead of where you're born. I have no idea how that's going to play out, but I hope it will be amazing.
Yeah.
And, we're going to try to build the first one. I think that, this major repopulation is at hand, because when people can move, a lot of people live where they live because it's close to their job. So once that constraint lifts, I've seen that time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes about 6 months, and then they wake up one day and then they realize, why are we living here again? I'm not driving to work anymore, and I don't really like it, and it's really expensive.
Yep.
And then they move, and where they move, that kind of varies based on what they like. Some people are like, I always wanted to travel, I'm going to go travel here, there. Other people are like, I've always wanted to live in the mountains, or they love to ski. Or other people are like, I always wanted to live on the beach. And some people are maybe say, oh, I really want to live close to my family again. Maybe they moved to the city for the job. Some people go for a van life. I don't know. So that's, roughly the patterns we see. And that also opens up a great new possibility, which is new cities and villages and towns being built. So I've heard about some of these projects. I think there's going to be a lot more. It's been so long since it was a kind of fluidity in where people settled.
Yeah.
So not a lot of new cities have been built, but now you can. So now, if you really want to start a city, now's the time. Start a town, start a village, and it can. Because now it's much easier for a while, in this transition for people to move. So if you build a cool new city that has something that doesn't exist anywhere else, some cool vibe or theme or something, you might attract a lot of visitors. And so that's one thing I'm really excited about, is the new cities and towns popping up. Another thing that is a bit in the same vein, I'm really excited about companies' remote teams and how they are going to evolve as they get bigger. So in SafetyWing's case, we discovered a while back that, clearly we don't need an office, but we do have team gatherings. They're in different places. Like last one was in Mexico. Before that was in Slovenia, and that's really fun. But we have this one house in San Francisco, but we outgrew it, that we just kind of gather from time to time.
Yeah.
But we thought we need a bigger one. And we're looking at things that nobody else is using, because we're like a new use case. So we're looking at castles in Europe. And we thought,
Classic.
wouldn't it be cool if we had a castle in Europe as like our team gathering spot? So we're going around looking at those and see if we can find one that we can use as our HQ. It's essentially like a cost-effective way. And so, yeah, I'm very this is only the beginning of this. People are going to start to kind of figure out all these new things that are possible when it comes to offices and cities. And I think some really cool stuff is going to come out of that.
That's so cool. At first, when I heard that mission, I was like, you guys doing a metaverse thing where you're going to be in Roblox or Minecraft, all these, what these young people are playing, that castle. I cannot wait to see it. All right. Before we jump into our rapid fire section, which is called the T2A Q2A, is there anything else you want people to know about SafetyWing?
Well, I would say, if you're excited about this future, if you're excited about this mission, we're hiring a lot, one of the top things we're looking for is people who share our dream and our mission. So, definitely send us a message and maybe and join us in building it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see where you take this. I can't believe it's only been a few years, but I'm sure, like we said, the pandemic kind of accelerated everything. So congrats to you and your team. This is so exciting, and to have you here.
I heard one of the episodes that you're on. It might have been the one on where you were being interviewed on your own podcast. You did mention that you don't have to manage a team if they share the same mission as you. I love that.
Yeah, no, and it's so true. It's so true that I even think it's like almost like a universal strategy for peace in any relationship. It's just to share the same goal, because then you don't have to like make the other person do what you want, because it's like, hey, we want the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's really nice, so then it's just like, how do we get there? And it becomes this shared project and a much more enjoyable ride.
All right, so now we're going to jump into the T2A Q2A, which is the ticket to anywhere quick to answer segment. 4 questions for you. And the first one is, what items do you absolutely need with you on your trips?
My number one thing is probably my SafetyWing passport holder. It was the first merch we got. It was like aspirational. It was like, we had just launched Nomad Insurance and we're like, we need some cool merch. And we're like, a passport holder, but it kind of looks like a SafetyWing passport.
We love some merch, Sondre.
Yeah.
If you're still selling that, we'll buy.
Wonderful. And of course it has my passport, it has my wallet stuff. As long as I have that, I can kind of regroup.
Perfect.
Great. So do you have any rituals or routines when you get to a new place?
I do, actually. I go for a walk around the area and just check it out.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I just really feel like antsy. Like, I wonder what this place is. And I just just go for a walk and check it out, the kind of surrounding quarters, and just get the vibe of the area and a feel of what kind of place I'm in.
Okay, so why do you travel?
I travel to, I would say, explore, and I also travel to, it's like be renewed. It's like I like routines, I like habits, I like rituals when you're at home and you stick to them and you're productive and it's sort of low friction, and that's great. But you can't do that for like too long, because it's time flies by and suddenly you're like, years have gone by. When I travel, everything is new, all the habits get upended, and I can kind of start afresh. It's like a restart. And that, yeah, and then I can think new thoughts, all the problems I was stuck in, suddenly I can find a new way, and it's just it's a new horizon, and that I love that. So it's like, it's exploration, and then it's just a fresh start.
Oh, I love that answer.
Much needed. Yes, absolutely. All right, Sondre, what is your next trip?
My next trip is just in a little bit, going to Norway, Poland, and Italy later in May. So that's going to be interesting. Norway, of course, home country. Italy, Joanna, my wife's home country, and then Poland, and then Italy. I've been really curious to rent for a few months one of these stone houses on the countryside in Italy. So that's something to look at. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sondre, for coming on and chatting with us, letting everyone know why they need some travel insurance in their life, and letting us know about the success of SafetyWing. So really quickly, let everyone know where they can find you if they want to hear more, please.
Definitely go to SafetyWing.com or our Instagram Nomad Cities for some cool photos. If you're building a remote startup, check out buildingremotely.com. We're making a book on how to build a remote startup and podcast, some cool material there if that's your journey. So definitely check that out.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. If you love travel as much as we do, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pocket Casts. Thank you all for your support so far. When you have the time, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and it'll help others come across our episodes and hopefully be inspired to travel and adventure anywhere.